top agents, top brokers, top producers all over the country all tend to have a certain number of things that they do in common. And what's interesting about it is they all do the same exact things. And when you think about that, oftentimes you hear, if I want to be a top producer, I want to be a top agent, I want to be a top broker, I need to do things differently. Well, I'm here to say that it's the exact opposite. You need to do the same exact things that all the other top people do. But it's not about what you do, it's about how you do it. So I'm going to get into 9 things that every top producing agent that I've been able to meet across the country, going to different events, going to speaking on different platforms and talking to all kinds of really successful people all over the country, what those people are doing to really crush it in their business. So number 1 is discipline and structure. So that's, people that get into the business a lot of times feel like we have freedom, and we do have freedom. We don't have a 9-to-5 job. There's nobody telling us what to do or kind of, when we need to clock in or clock out. But a lot of times we fall into a trap where we feel like we have too much freedom. We have, there's not enough discipline. So what I've found, the people that are doing things at a really high level have a certain structure about their day, a certain discipline where they, do this sort of the same things over and over again and just do them at a really high level. So what I used to do when I first started out is I would prospect every morning for a couple hours every morning, and I would just continue to do that every single day over and over and over again. It just became ingrained into my head. I was talking to a good friend of mine, Sunit Agarwal, earlier today, and he was talking about his listing presentations and what he does with his listings is, everyone kind of does things differently, but for him, what he did is he has a checklist. It's like a 37-step checklist. And he memorized every single one of those items on the checklist. And that allowed him to go into listing presentations totally prepared. It became instinctual, more of a response, like instinctual response when somebody had a question. He just kind of knew how to respond immediately and comfortably. And that's the difference. And a person like him started out 3 or 4 years ago, and now he has a big team. He's doing hundreds and hundreds of transactions every year. So discipline and structure, very, very important. Number 2, the fear of working your sphere. And this is kind of an interesting one. If you're already doing business at a high level, this might sound odd to you, but with our company at Marker, we're hiring people all the time and bringing in lots of new people, older people, different stages within their business. And you'd be surprised. A lot of agents have big networks, they have lots of friends, family, but you'd be surprised how few of those people are comfortable working their sphere of influence. And it's understandable because, you don't want to come across as like that salesy person, but it's also important to make sure that people know what you do. And I heard this phrase once before, and I forget who said it, but in business and real estate especially, it's not about who you know, it's about who you know that knows what you do. So that stuck with me, and I think it's very, very important. So one example or way that you can reach out to people that are in your sphere so you don't sound like you're being super salesy is just reach out and just say hello, say hi, connect with them, reach out, even maybe apologize because you haven't followed up with them in a long time. And this is something my friend Sam Karamian uses a lot, is he'll say, call up people in your sphere and reach out to them in sort of an apologetic tone and say, hey, I'm really, really sorry. I haven't followed up with you in a long time, or I haven't talked to you in a long time. How have you been? How's business? How's work? And then they'll tell you how that's going. And then naturally what happens is what Sam says is they'll ask you how you're doing. How's it going? How's business going with you? How's family going with you? So then that will create the opportunity to talk about your business, and it doesn't sound unnatural or doesn't sound like you're overselling. So that's number 2. Number 3 is lack of intensity. So here's something that I think a lot of agents kind of get caught doing. It's kind of I call it the mediocre agent trap. And that is, you get in, you have a good month, you have a couple of good months, you do some deals, you do some transactions, and then you take your foot off the gas. And I see that so many times, especially with newer agents, they haven't done a lot of business, or they haven't made a lot of money in their career, or whatever that they've done in their life. They come in, with real estate, you can make a lot of money fast, and they've done that, and then been super excited and done great, and then close some deals, and then they disappeared. So I call that the mediocre agent trap, and you definitely don't want to fall into that. It can be difficult sometimes too, because you make a lot of money, and then you have things you want to buy or do or whatever. That's where the discipline and structure comes in. If you're constantly doing the same things over and over again, the success or the emotion that's related to having a successful month doesn't impact you as much, because you know you have to go back to those things that got you there. So definitely don't want to fall into the mediocre agent trap. What I would recommend is having that structure and discipline. But if you're going to get emotional and get happy, and instead of taking your foot off the gas, step it up, right? Take that money you just earned, invest it into some other parts of your business, invest it in other real estate, invest in other things that's related to your company or your business, so you can continue to grow and keep that motivation. Number 4 is lead gen. Lead gen, what can I say? I mean, we've generated over 200,000 leads in our database over the last 3 or 4 years. Lead gen is a very, very important part of any real estate agent's business. Not only real estate, every service-related industry needs to have lead generation. So, whether you're a doctor, lawyer, whatever, it doesn't matter. You need to have customers. So without customers, there's no business. And so we need to have a stream of lead flow coming at all times. What we've done really well at Marker is we do a lot of online leads. So that's something for me, it's been very easy. It's not difficult. I mean, just a matter of like spending money and buying leads. Another way is to create some sort of a process that goes again back down to discipline and structure. If you're doing some sort of like prospecting, you're picking up the phone, there's so many lists out there that you can call through expireds, through FSBOs, what have you, and just have that sort of lead flow coming in. Also, automation's important, right? So a lot of if you can reach out to your even reaching out to your sphere in an automated way, that sounds natural. We can talk about that a little bit later, but definitely need to have lead generation. That has to be a big part of your business. And it's not, referrals are great. And I know there's people that talk a lot about referrals and how important they are. I'm all about it, but it's also important to have a steady flow, so you know where your next potential customer or client may be coming from. At least knowing, if you know that that's, in the works, it's happening, you're going to get a customer. Your life in terms of your sanity will be a lot calmer, right? I mean, it's we feel so much stress in our business because it's up and down. When you have the constant lead flow, there's less of the up and down. Number 5 is, after you have the systems, having after you have the leads, having a steady system that will allow you to cultivate and nurture and stay in front of those leads. So it is very important. So for me, what I did is, prior to really the big growth of Marker, I was an individual agent. I did a lot of, I'd meet people and I'd get their business card, I put it in my back pocket, and I'd never see it again, kind of thing, right? I talked to people on the phone, I'd write down what I just talked about, I put it on a piece of scrap paper, and then it was gone. Or I put it in a notepad. I had a Staples notepad. I had, all my notes. I thought I was really organized doing that. And then I realized that having a CRM, I just invested in a CRM. My good buddy Tristan Almada, I met him. We started talking about different CRM platforms, and then I ended up using a CRM, and that shifted my business completely. It went from like a manual to creating an assembly line, creating a process that was very easy to use. So what the CRM allowed me to do is keep track of all my conversations, remind me what the last communication was, so I can pick up where it left off. So if you're talking to your sphere of influence, for example, and you had a conversation 3-4 months ago about their son who went to a birthday party or whatever, you can maintain that communication inside your CRM. Next time you talk to them, it pick up where it left off. So it just makes things a lot easier. Also reminding you when to follow up with people, who to follow up with, even what to say. Sometimes with drip campaigns, you can send out email messages. And there's a saying also that we've all heard from people that frankly don't do any business, is the best CRM to use is the one that, or the best CRM is the one that you use. That's completely not accurate. The best CRM is not the one that you're going to use. The best CRM is the one that's going to provide you with the most ability to communicate with the most amount of people, using automation, using email, using text messages, using video messages. So there's a few really, really good ones out there. If you're interested, reach out. I'll be happy to share those with you, but definitely want to use a CRM that is going to allow you to touch the most amount of people with the least amount of effort. Number 6, positive attitude and belief. Positive attitude and belief. This is like huge. I mean, so important, especially with our business up and down. We try to eliminate as much as the up and down, of the up and down as possible with all the things that I'm talking about. But there's still the uncertainty. There's still the uncertainty of where's my next deal coming from. And it's so important to have that positive mentality, the positive mindset, the belief that it's going to be okay. And I mean, that's just huge, right? I mean, it's even, you may not have a huge amount of large number of clients that you're working with at a particular time. Just having the belief that will change, and being able to convince yourself and being able to control your mindset is very, very important. So having a positive mentality, having a belief that things are going to be okay. Like, even if you say to yourself, like, things aren't going well right now, but it's going to be okay. Like, those are things that I say to myself that help me go move along throughout the day. So I would strongly encourage you guys, like, listen to some positive things, be around positive people, eliminate negativity. I remember when I first started with our company, it was a person that worked with me, and I would always try to say positive things, be around positive things, and really just avoid the negativity. And I remember it was something that this person didn't really understand, and it almost felt like they weren't happy about that sort of mentality. And when I saw that, I just knew that this is not the right person that I should be spending a lot of time with. And so I'm all for, even if you have to fake yourself out, like psych yourself out and make yourself change something that's negative and make it feel like it's positive. That alone is positive. And being around positive people is incredibly important. So whatever the case may be, if there's any sort of negativity, we can't afford to have that in our life, in our business. We're entrepreneurs. We don't have a set pay. We don't know what the next day is going to look like. I mean, we try to structure it so that we can make those predictions, and we can look forward to certain things and have certain expectations, but there's no guarantee. So to be able to maintain a positive outlook is really important. That even includes your family, your lifestyle, whatever. I mean, just try to be around as much positivity as possible. Number 7 is the shiny object syndrome. We've heard that phrase a lot, right? So so many vendors, so many people want our money. So many people are advertising things that could benefit a real estate agent. And it's good to try things out, test things out, but not to get caught up in like every path, going down every single path. And one way to do that is to really just understand what it is that you're good at and focus on those things that you're good at. And that way you'll be able to decide on which products to purchase, which things to buy. And I've heard this as well, is the red light, green light thing, right? So, you buy something, you invest in something, give it a little bit of time, and if it does well, then maybe continue to reinvest and try to stay focused on one path before going on to others. Number 8 is when you do have to make a decision on something, it's all in. Okay, so a lot of times we feel like there's apprehension to go for it. Especially when you're ready to make that decision. It's there's a lot of analysis, there's a lot of thought that goes into it, and that's great. But when it's time to make the move, it's ready to go. You have to be ready to go. So just you have to take a leap of faith. I mean, I think about some of the biggest producers, some of the biggest investors, marketers in our industry. I mean, they're doing things at a huge level, and a lot of times, it doesn't happen overnight. But you have to kind of take that jump. You have to take a leap of faith, in your business and in whatever it is that you want to do. And a lot of times we get caught up on kind of the, there's a story that makes me think of a story when I was a kid. There was a high dive. We used to go to this swimming pool, public swimming pool, and there was a high dive, there was a low dive, diving board. And I remember there was this one kid that go on the high dive, and he'd stand on the edge and he'd be waiting. And he'd be looking down. It was super high, and he was afraid, afraid to jump, afraid to take the leap. And all the kids on the bottom waiting in line, where some of them were yelling at him to hurry up, and some of them were yelling at him to encourage him. And finally, he took that leap. He jumped, and then when he landed in the water, it felt great. And so that's sort of the same idea, right? With the taking leap of faith is, you're standing, you're analyzing. Am I going to do it? Is it going to be scary? Is it going to this or that? Yes. It probably is, and it's also fun, and it's exhilarating, and sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith and just go for it. And when you do decide